when it is safe, when you say so. I think that's what everybody ultimately wants, but I just think I don't want to sign anything if I'm going home for 10 minutes. I don't want to. I don't see the change. I don't see why there should be any change. So, you know.
Okay, thank you.
Well,
so we've heard that. So we're going to, looks like we're just flicking back. Hold on a minute, if you could just hold on a moment.
Yeah, I've had a phone call today that we're going to go back tomorrow at 11 o'clock to pick up some stuff, and I'm quite happy to do what we've done for the last 3 visits. Sign a bit of paper, I'm in, and when we go out, I'll sign a bit of paper. I don't want to sign this letter, waiver, whatever, because I'm not going to be living there tomorrow night. So that's simple to me. There's no big issue around that. So as long as the people who are guarding the gate tomorrow, the police and the fire, understand that that's the situation, I don't think we're making a big thing of it. Just carry on. This letter, we haven't seen the letter yet. It's going to come out tomorrow morning at 10 o'clock. We need time to read it, digest it, take a view, discuss it with our nearest and dearest. I think it's just, you know, to me, to go back for a short visit is simple. Carry on as you are. End of.
Okay, and I'll just reiterate that I will take that feedback back to the team and we will clarify that tomorrow morning. That makes sense.
So, Laura, maybe you'd like to reflect before you put pen to paper, unless I totally misunderstood the MP this afternoon. One of the things he said there was none of the owners should be put back onto the residents. I think what you're trying to do is exactly that. You're trying to say, if you want to go back, we want some way of saying if it goes wrong, it's down to you. And unless I misunderstood his words,
so no,
that's exactly what he said.
What we're trying to just explain that if you want to go back, there are still risks involved in that.
Sorry, but you're still asking us to make some sort of signature as this, and the RMP, who's doing a sterling job, has said in the House this afternoon that no owners should be put back on us in relation to us carrying on with our lives. And I think you're going against what the guy's saying. I think.
Okay, and we can have a further discussion with Richard Fuller MP about what he has said. I think we are trying to respond that there are different groups and different individuals. So some of you are happy with what we've already been doing. Others of you indicated that you would like more flexibility to be able to return to your properties, but we aren't able to sort out all of the issues around the monitoring and some of the other issues that we want for confidence. So that's what we are suggesting as a way forward.
I have a comeback on that. It's maybe a suggestion, may fall on deaf ears, hopefully not. I think you need to flip this round, the way you're trying to present a waiver. You said it's a letter telling residents where you are, what you're doing, what the situation is. If you turn it round, don't go near the word waiver because it has a lot of legal connotations. Actually issue anybody who wants to go back with a letter and say, this is the current situation. If you're happy to go into your property and remain in your property, sign this to say you accept that this is the current position. By doing that, you're not removing anybody's insurance liabilities. You're not getting anybody to sign up. You're not relinquishing the ownership and responsibility for safety. That's my suggestion. So
that I think we had the discussion this afternoon about whether waiver was the right word, and we probably didn't agree that it was, but it seemed the easiest one to use. It is that kind of letter of assessment of risk that you've just described.
Sorry, and I had one more question because I might have mentioned this before. Not all households are unified in whether they want to return or not.
Yes.
What is the situation where the situation is one person or a couple of people would happily go back and sign a document and somebody else doesn't within that family? Are they still going to be covered for as long as it takes them to feel safe in this temporary accommodation relationship? Because the last thing you could construe this as being, well, sign the letter and stay in temporary accommodation, or we're going to use that as a mechanism to reduce our costs by making people go back into their properties when their risk appetite is...
No, because we haven't said to you that we feel it's safe to go back. So that discussion that you've just highlighted, that isn't what we're saying to you at the moment. We are saying that our advice to you is still not to enter your property. That discussion that you want to have, and and I think we've reflected that there are different views about risk, and as you've highlighted, there are different views even within a household. So we aren't at that point. All we are saying tonight is that for those people who want to return home and will review the risk as we set out in the letter, that is something that they can do. Lots of people won't be in that place. Lots of people will be in the place where they still want all of those assurances. So it is that different people are in different places.
I think it goes alongside what he was trying to allude to before. If he says, I want to go back to my property tomorrow night, and after one night or two nights he thinks, actually, this is all a bit too much because I'm living in a road where I'm the only person on my own and I don't feel safe, they might take that choice to, actually, I prefer to go back into temporary accommodation. And that's what I'm trying to allude to, is if you sign this piece of paper, are you effectively burning your bridges with the council?
No.
Okay.
So that, I think that the piece around, so Ben gave the example of going back and then, and that's an individual discussion. And I think I do agree with you that those are individual discussions. So what we wanted to try and talk to you about tonight is, this is the current situation. This is what we are putting forward. But you are in, each of you, individually actually, will have a different view of that. So we are, we will reflect on what you've said tonight to us, but also it's, as Tom has said, Mayor Tom has said, we are with you for the long term. And that's really what we're just trying to work through, the different scenarios for different people.
You use two words, advice and risk. You say your advice is not to go back, but the risk is less. To me, if the advice is not to go back, the risk is still high.
No, the risk is lower than it was 5 weeks ago, but because we haven't completed the risk assessments, we haven't put the monitoring into place, we're still advising you not to return home.
So I was there when they did the risk assessment there yesterday. They weren't in there that long. I mean, is that the time they need to go around the whole house? I mean, they were trying to look for our stopcock. I didn't know where that was. We haven't been in the house long, and they couldn't find it, but they went back out. I mean, I didn't think they were there long enough to do a risk assessment. I mean, I don't know how long these things take.
So I said earlier that I would provide some more information about what the building control manager is looking at in each property, so that will give you a little bit more detail around that.
Yeah, because to me, I mean, like, we were there for the whole duration and they went round. But also, they're signing this statement. So do your people that work on the site, that go there every day, the fire brigade, yourselves, do you always have to sign something?
We don't sign, the Bedford Borough Council staff don't sign in and out of the cordon, as far as I know.
So,
but we will, yeah, we will have a log of who is there, so we will always know which staff are around.
so should it be just a log for us as well, because it's the same risk?
So
It
what?
just be a log like we're doing now.
So what we are, so are you thinking about if you just want to pop in and
I just want to,
collect stuff?
I'm not ready to go back. We're not, as a household, we're not ready to go back. We just want to carry on, just as that lady said, as we were before.
Okay, so that's about just recording you going to visit the property and then leaving again. So, as I've already said, we've got that feedback from you. We will review that with the team tomorrow morning and confirm what the arrangements are, with hopefully no change for those of you who just want to pop in.
So some British Gas are meant to be coming out on Saturday to look at the boiler. So do they have to sign something?
They will have to log in and show that they've understood the risk of going into the area, yes. They can go in, but they will need to be aware of what is going on.
That means they might not want to go in. And they can't see to our boiler then.
So until you've had that discussion with them, but the Cadent people have been on site during the early phases of the discussion. So they must have been happy to go in already if you've made a booking with them.
Well, we've explained the situation. They probably don't know. I mean, we speak to a call centre. So it's different, isn't it? You speak to a call centre, they book the job and you explain it to them, but the engineers don't always know what's going on. We've explained them to tell them, because we were there yesterday and the British Gas engineer was meant to come and he didn't turn up because his van broke down. And I explained the situation to him. He said, customer services didn't make me aware. So is it, we can explain it. It's not our fault that the call centre's not telling them.
So again, I would say if you've got an individual issue, can we discuss that on an individual basis at the end of the meeting, if that's all right?
It's fine.
Thank you. Ben?
Yeah, just a quick one. It's kind of looking for myself in the future, but maybe talking on behalf of some of the residents here. So I do apologise, as it doesn't directly affect me today. But the idea is hopefully that red circle of 100 metres is going to shrink and shrink and shrink as information comes through and it gets safer. And Jim, correct me if I'm wrong, I'm not an expert at all, but with the gas coming out, as soon as it's kind of hitting the air, it's diluting and it's basically becoming, it's safer than it has been. And really what our issues at the moment are pockets of gas building up within properties, yeah? So at the moment, there are houses, properties that are outside that, which the only way in is through Wagstaffe, or for me it's Glenrose. So I'm just a bit confused. If that's safe on the outside, how come they have to sign one to go through to a house which isn't actually in danger at the moment? And I'm thinking that for myself, because hopefully that's going to shrink that circle, that I might still have to access through Glenrose, which could be in the red, but my property isn't, that I don't really want to be signing something to go to a property which is completely safe. And I having to sign it in an area which you're kind of saying is deemed safe, because as soon as any gas is coming out, it's just diluting. So I'm just very confused, if you know what I mean, about one thing's the one way and then one thing's the other.
Yeah.
So if you can clarify that, that'd be great. Thank you.
Absolutely. Yeah, no problem. It's a great question, Ben, to be fair, and you summarised it really well at the beginning. I think that's probably what we need to do a little bit better, talk a bit in kind of proper layman's terms. You're absolutely right. The moment the gas hits open air, it generally dilutes almost immediately. We know that that risk is diminishing and diminishing. Now that the borehole has been what we believe to be is plugged, and we believe that that gas is going to continue to move and disappear completely. But by all accounts, right now, that's what we're being told is likely to have happened. But what we don't know is just how much gas went into the ground, what's within that ground between the 100 metre mark and the surface, and could it be held somewhere in that strata under another pocket of limestone, heavy clay, etc. So it is just a case of time whilst we wait that out. From a risk of gas in air, it's really, really minimal. And we are likely to see that change really quickly. But as of today, as of tonight, as of the information that we've just written down, at the moment, that we cannot say that we're not going to see pockets of gas continue to pop up. But the likelihood is that that will reduce. And what we're going to be talking about is a risk area, and that's what that 100 metres is, the risk area. But the high risk areas is where it can build up, as you rightly say. Those areas where it won't, and that's why we see vehicles being able to come up and down, is because the moment it's in air, it's nowhere near the explosive limit that we could see within a premise.
So just on that, as that is shrinking the circle and what have you, with this signing of something, if I want to say, okay, I'm going to wait until my property is safe, but once my property is safe, I'll be able to just walk down and go there and not have to sign something to say that I'm now entering, because you've just said that actual, just walking out in fresh air, that I am actually safe as I walk down towards my property. I don't really want to sign something to say I'm going into a safe place, which could hinder me of my property, which is now actually safe. Does that make sense?
It makes perfect sense. And that is exactly the position we want to get to. I think, you know, we're kind of almost got to a point of semantics, and I think we've kind of walked into a bit of a trap in regards to how we've presented it tonight. I think had we brought the document, you'd be pretty underwhelmed, if I'm absolutely honest, about what, you know, it is an advice document, and the signature is just about your understanding of that advice, because we cannot at the moment say to you as residents, if you're going to go into that area, you will have the potential to, you know, come into contact with these hazards that pose these risks. And that is what this document is really trying to do. It's just an information document to say, if you're about to go into there, it's a risk area, and these are the risks. Do you understand? Yes, I do. Thank you very much. Thanks, mate.
Hi, Jim. Just a quick question for you.
Yeah.
So we keep talking about the radius potentially diminishing.
Yeah.
But I'm a little bit confused. Is the risk central to the borehole? Because we've said the borehole is sealed. If the gas is in strata, in pockets, right across the site, how can the 100-metre reduce when if it's not central to the borehole? Do you understand what I'm saying?
100%, absolutely. So the 100-metre cordon, as you know, was set right from the almost day one, but it's been a really useful 100-metre cordon to work from. As we become more and more intelligent about the data, and as you saw from some of the diagrams and plans that we've already presented, or BGS have presented, in regards to those average readings, you saw over different periods of time, in different places, higher and lower readings. So you're absolutely right. It's more of an amoeba shape. You know, it's shapeless. It doesn't really have a very round. And as we become more and more informed in that information, that's when we'll be able to put into that individual premise risk assessment. And when you get to see your individual premise risk assessment, you'll see that this got the readings, historic readings on it, both in premise and in ground, you know, close to it, how far away you are from the borehole. All that goes up to make up a really clear picture of how the gas is reacting in close proximity to the premise, and also about the type of construction of the premise and how easy that gas may be able to enter it. And that will give us a clear idea of, is there a high risk to get there? Is there a permeable place for it to get into? As a result of that, you're at a higher or lower risk. And you're absolutely right, that won't be spherical.
So it's not related to the centre of the borehole. It's not a diameter.
It's all to do with the permeability
across the whole site.
Yeah.
So different areas have got different risk levels,
yeah,
irrespective of where they're positioned.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah,
fine.
and it's a great question as well. It helps with the clarification.
I remember reading somewhere, isn't it common law that if you have an explosion, you usually have a 400-metre circumference around that?
You have been reading, haven't you? Yeah, it depends what's gone bang. It depends on the size of the thing that's gone bang. 400 metres, there is a cordon, I think it's a suitcase-sized device is where you got the 400 metres from. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
But what they haven't done still is size the whole area to see if there's further gas pockets.
That's right.
So therefore you can't actually put a full risk assessment, like your whole risk assessment would fall apart because you haven't sized the whole, like, hard rock underneath.
Mm-hmm. That's why we're saying don't go back right now.
Okay.
Yeah.
But it breaks your risk assessment.
No, it just informs it. The outcome, you know, is what the risk assessment does. It says up until this point. So, for instance, if you had a premise that's never seen any gas outside it, never seen any gas inside it for the last 5 weeks, compared to a premise that's seen gas inside it and outside it, all, you know, for 3 or 4 weeks, you've got to be able to say that one premise is more likely than another. That's what the risk assessment does.
Sorry guys, this is getting exhausting. I'm sure you're exhausted now.
That's right.
I'm still getting confused here because we still, and I know it's hard for you to convey, but it would have been better if a copy of that letter had been brought tonight.
completely agree.
Because I think what concerns us really, who are outside that 100-metre zone, that should be able to go back to our properties, like other people who are currently in their properties that are not signing anything. That document needs to say it's about going through the cordon, not going to our homes. So potentially you've got two different letters
But
there.
there are actually two different letters.
Yeah.
Hence why if we'd have brought them and you'd have seen them, you'd be going,
And I think
"No."
that would have saved you guys a boatload of
Absolutely.
problems tonight, to be honest.
Completely agree with you. Yeah.
Thank you.
My bad. Thank you.
Have we got any final question?
Yeah, just very, very quickly. A couple, really. Is the next meeting going to be on Monday?
We are thinking that it'll actually be on Tuesday.
Right. And is Paul going to be present, or the BGS?
I am really hopeful that Paul and BGS are there to answer all of these questions about gas and the geology and strata in the area.
Okay.
So the reason that we're just talked to you about the Tuesday is that gives us more time to give you information. So what we have been doing with the Monday meeting, you've had the technical cell meeting, you've had the gold meeting, and then we've gone very quickly into a meeting. I think it's better to give the time so that we can present what I think is more helpful information on that time and what's happening. And it gives us a bit more, it gives a bit more time to, we were thinking about how we can maybe send some information in advance so that you'd have something that you could then ask some questions about, rather than us presenting a lot of information tonight. We haven't presented a lot of information tonight, hence we haven't had the PowerPoint, but to do that in a different way, and that just works better. Is that all right?
Okay. My other question was, it's around the accommodation thing. We are signed up to the 1st of December. Are we realistically looking further than that?
That is a tough question.
But it is also tough for people in accommodation because it's coming up Christmas. People are block booking. People are having to move in and out, and you're not necessarily going to get the same accommodation.
Again, I'd say that's the individual discussion with the team so that we can look at what's happening and we can see what's happening in the accommodation that you're in as well. So can we have those as individual discussions?
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So we've come tonight to just talk about a particular issue on the cordon. We will take away that there are different messages that we need to provide. You need to see the draft statement of risk, if we call it that. And also this difference of, if you're just popping in, we're continuing with what we've already done, versus those people who would like to go back to their premises. And also around that challenge of, you might say that you want to go back, but actually when you've done it, you think, not so sure about it. And again, that goes back to some of those individual discussions. As usual, it's been, and I think there's still some things around the future questions that I think Richard has also begun to ask, and around some of those other challenges that we've talked about. You know, certification. What happens to property values? What do we do about the site where the borehole is? I thank you again for coming along tonight, and I think it's really been a very helpful discussion for us. We definitely need BGS and HSE when we're talking about gas and the strata, so that we can talk about that in a bit more detail. And I've also picked up, there's a piece about talking about the cordon and what happens when that changes. I would say there are people from the team here who are standing at the back. So Claire, Joe, Ben, If you've want some specific issues, by all means, talk to them. I am also here as our...
Thank you very much for being so patient, because I think this is such a difficult situation. I'm just so glad that we can work together, and I remain, as I have been from the start, the council's with you. We're going to be with you all the way on this journey, and we're going to do whatever we can, and we'll get the experts here. So it'll probably be Tuesday. We'll try and get the experts, and I don't know where the meeting will be. Either it'll be here or it'll be at Borough Hall, but we will probably be at Borough Hall because we have streaming stuff. So yes, I'm looking forward to that and getting those experts pinned down. Thank you very much for your patience. I'm glad that Councillor Ryder has walked in, because on behalf of us all, thank you very much for St Mark's again, and thank you for doing what you do day in, day out, and having the advice centres and everything. So thank you very much, and ladies and gentlemen, until the next time.